We in a stew. I haven't said that in a while. Hold on. We in a stew. Well, good evening to all of you. It's gonna be a good night. Honestly, I was talking to Kelsey about the video, and I just really hope you guys understand this is a video to talk about when you hit your lows and when you're going through a lot. Now, the tone of the channel has been kind of where I've been feeling is like it's really important to talk about this stuff. Now, some of the stuff is really taboo. Some of the stuff is like the harder subjects to talk about, and I get that, but it needs to be talked about. These I don't know how many times I'm supposed to say that in a row. Hold on. Give me a second. These subjects are important, and I feel that they're important to talk about. And I feel like we have to be willing to talk about the hard stuff. And I think that is a big part of all of this. So, welcome. Now I see your guys' chat. Of course, it takes a long time. Of course, I'm just rambling. Don't know if you're here. Hi, guys. It's good to see you. Okay, so yeah, lifeguard tonight. Lifeguard tonight. I got a cold, guys. I got my Star Wars shirt on. Hold on. Get this out. Hold on. Hi, Kristen. I'm sorry. I'm trying to move this in a second. 1 second. 1 second. Hold on. It's taking me a long time. Star Wars shirt on. Okay. It's a great shirt, but I got cold. So that's fine. Hi, guys. It's good to see you. Okay. So, like I said, tonight we're going to have a conversation a little bit more about kind of what I've learned. And one of the main things I've been learning how to do is we are going to talk a little bit more about compartmentalizing. So, this really helped me in my most stressed out times of my life. So when you hit those lows, you hit those moments in your life where your mental health is really suffering and you're really having a hard time. The number one thing you need to do is start taking those baby steps. You guys ever seen What About Bob? And the therapist, his whole thing is baby steps. And so he starts talking about taking baby steps. That's one of the best movies ever. But shout out to What About Bob? That's a good movie. You guys need to watch that if you want to laugh. But in that movie, the Bob is this very over the top. He's this very over the top, like stressed out person, and he goes to meet with a therapist or a psychiatrist, whatever he is in the movie, and he's just like he's very needy and he needs a lot from the doctor. So what does the doctor tell him to do? Take baby steps. So when you leave, he says, when you leave your apartment, take baby steps. When you're in a place of stress, take baby steps. So I adopted that in my hardest times. Taking the baby steps and compartmentalizing are two huge factors and tools. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that and what that means. So I think the number one thing is we need to talk about when you're at your lowest. Now, obviously, we've talked about this on the channel before. Obviously, we've been covering a lot of the hard stuff. But when you're at that moment when it is so hard for you to function on a daily basis, like you're at a point where you're so brain fogged, and the front of your brain where you're supposed to process your day-to-day is actually in fight or flight, it will stop you from being able to progress and be able to even think about what my day entails. So I'll be honest with you guys. I'm going to show you this. Actually, I wasn't going to show you this, but I have an app now on my phone. It's called Microsoft To Do. Okay. This is what it looks like. Okay. Come on now, camera. Okay. And on this list, I literally have to add my tasks. This is from when I'm not working, right? But if I have tasks I need to do, I have to write them down. And that's part of compartmentalizing for me. That's part of I need to know what I need to do. So in the mornings, when I first wake up and have my most energy to compartmentalize my day, I needed to set out what I do. That's part of my baby steps right there. So that's like my number one baby step is, okay, the laundry needs to get done. This needs to get done. This needs to get done. So I put it out all on a list. The reality is when you are really struggling and you guys are really having a hard time, the number one thing you have to do is figure out how am I going to function day to day. Tori says, I'm a list person too. I'm a huge list person, guys. I cannot recommend lists enough. Procrastination is a huge tool of trauma, and Procrastination is because in my opinion, procrastination comes from a place of I'm so overwhelmed internally already. The idea or the thought of having to do something is too much. The thought of doing the laundry is too much. And that's the point is like life comes at you, right? Life's coming at you with family, kids, work, everything. And on top of that, if you're really trying to work through something hard in your life with whether it's past trauma or whatever you're going through in the moment, if you're at your lowest, it's really, really, really hard to put that into context and say, I have to get this done in my life. I have to get this done on top of feeling the way I feel. And there's people right now I know who are having a hard time getting out of bed. And some of you guys have been vulnerable enough to share that in the chat, have talked about it on comments, like, or have left a comment about it where you're saying it's really hard for you to even get the motivation to get out of bed. So when you're at that level, when you're literally dragging yourself through, what are you supposed to do? Right? What do we do with ourselves? And that's where I'm going to go ahead and say it is so hard to show yourself grace when you feel that way. Because I know for me personally, the first thing I think is, I know I'm upset, but like I have to get stuff done. I have to do this. And I feel like I'm not doing enough if I'm not working towards what at least the daily stuff. So, three things that help me. Number one, okay. Number one is make a list so you can lay out your day. Number two is baby stepping that list, not taking that list and saying, this is everything. This is overwhelming. I have to do all these things. I'm going to do this right now. That's the baby step right there. So I'm going to go fill up the water jugs at Water and Ice. I'm going to go put my laundry in the washing machine. It's just like literally one step at a time. And over time, and you know what's cool? It's so nerdy, but like on my app, I turn the sound on. Okay. I'm a nerd. I'm exposing myself here. It gives you a little ding. Okay. It's like a little video game, right? When I get my task done, I press it and it dings and I did it. Right. So I think that the real thing is too, is like, let's put this into context for where I'm at right now. I feel like I'm overwhelmed with all the things that I have to do in my life right now. Okay. Just reality. I feel I can get overwhelmed really easily. I can get stressed out. And I feel like there's so much that I have to accomplish in a day. Right. And you have to compartmentalize. This is where compartmentalizing becomes a big, huge step. And I'm going to break that down into context right now. Compartmentalizing for me has been, okay, there's being a dad, there's working, there's being a husband, then there's being everything else that I have to do, which is just tasks. And then there is me doing my passions and the things that make me feel good and happy. And like, this is all my life. So, and then on top of that, you know, another compartment, I mean, it could go on, but like you have past trauma that still exists that's affecting your day to day. And you have to figure out, how do I function? And if you're going through something hard right now, that's even worse because that's on the forefront of your mind. So maybe you have anxiety, maybe you're struggling with an overwhelming feeling, maybe you feel like you are overwhelmed. So what do you do with that? My best advice for you guys is to compartmentalize. And the way you do that is mentally step back from yourself and say, look, I'm going through a lot. I'm going to have a lot of grace on myself. Maybe the dishes don't get done today. Maybe the laundry gets folded tomorrow. And I'm really bad at this because I have this like, no, I got to do it. I got to be disciplined. That's so undisciplined. I can't just, if I slack off here, I'm not going to do that. I'm learning. I do have a form of perfectionism. I don't know. I'm learning about that right now with myself, but like, it's not, it's something you have to learn to use grace. And Kelsey's the one that usually is the one that says that. She's like, you don't have to do that. But sometimes I feel the pressure to get it done. So that's a big deal because you're pressuring yourself now. So you have to take a step back and say, okay, I'm needed at work today. I'm needed to function. I need to feel somewhat good about myself. I need to do some self-care. Guys, self-care is integral. Okay. That is like the number one thing is so self-care, whatever that means to you, going on a walk, making sure you eat a good meal, getting enough sleep. Like this stuff is like, this is life. This is what's going to start to over time improve you and take those steps that you need. But it's baby steps. So instead of feeling like I got to get better, the problem is like we have this huge, I don't want to say the word stigma, but it does feel like a stigma. It's almost like you have this feeling like to get better. You have a feeling to get better. And I'm actually, you know what? I'm gonna pin something real quick because we're gonna talk about it in a little bit. There is also a huge culture right now of sulking. And I'm not saying that we're not supposed to feel our feelings, but there is a culture of sulking. So we'll talk about sulking in a minute. Let's stick with what we're talking about right now. Okay. I had to pin that for myself. Okay. Actually, you know what? Let me take 1 second because I'm seeing chats. I want to hang out with you guys tonight. I don't want to just talk your ear off. So I'm gonna scroll up a little bit. Jules is in the chat. Hi, Colby in chat. Headed to New Jersey with K9 Gator and Vader to teach some force protection and deploying unit. We will be listening. Love you all. Also diagnosed with PTSD and ADHD. Compartmentalizing so important. Thank you for your chat. And also thank you for saying that. It's very, very vulnerable. And sharing that is a big deal. So thank you. I don't know if you guys struggle with perfectionism. And it's not easy to do that. You know what I mean? It's not easy to deal with this idea that I have to do everything and it has to be perfect and I can't fail. The thing is, if we don't feel like we can fail, then we have an extra level of, what's the word? Forcefulness, if you want to say that. It's an extra level of, I don't know, an extra level of pressure on yourself that you don't need, especially when you're going through something. Kathleen says, hi from New York City. Sending love to Colby and family. Hi, Kathleen, in New York. I've always wanted to go to New York, but I'm scared of it too. Crusha, extra level of pain to go through. Yeah, exactly. So here's the thing. When you're going through something hard and you still have life going on, right? Like it doesn't stop. So you could be going through hell and you still have to go work. You still have to go show up for these people. There's people depending on you. There's people around you. And even if you don't have a bunch of people around you, still have things you have to accomplish. You know what I mean? It's not easy. Jennifer, Colby made a live. Oh, you made a live, not Colby. Colby, I finally made a live. Good to see you, Jennifer. Glad you're here. I've lived here all my life in a safe community. It's good to see you guys. But yeah, I mean, this is the biggest part. There's a book I read that changed my life. I struggle with perfection and present over protection. Oh, perfection. I love it. I love when you guys drop also things that you've done and learned, because this is all a part of this. The reason we bring this up as a group in a community is because we're all at different points and walks in our lives. So there's so many lessons we can learn from each other and like different references and books and things of that nature. But I'm just sharing what I've learned because I feel like that's such an important part of sharing your life, is like, these are really big steps I've learned that have helped me. And gosh, it just, if anything can come good, I'd love to share that with you guys. So hold on. I just saw illegally bond. I have the exact same hoodie on. We got some twin action going on. My lifeguard one is from California. You know what's actually funny? I genuinely bought this because of Tylee. So total side note, Tylee had a lifeguard shirt, and this was like back in 2016, 17, when like these lifeguard things were really popular. So when we went to California in 2020 at the like near the end of it, I ended up buying this just because it reminded me of her. But I was cold. This was my hoodie. I love it. Lynn, just when I think I can't get any lower lately, something else knocks me down. I'm seriously losing it right now. I'm in a bad place, anger out of control. Just need one thing to go my way. And here's the thing, Lynn, I understand that. And I feel you on that. I hope you understand that I've been there. I feel like, here's what I'll say. When you're at this point, when you're at the end of your wit, you have to find a way to pop the valve, whatever that looks like. So some people call it like pop the cork, let out that pressure, right? You have to vent it out. I call it vent it out. The thing is that this is where these baby steps come in. When you are at the hard place and things are getting worse, and you just feel like it becomes a spiral, it becomes a hole, and you get left there. One thing I'll tell you, Lynn, is I feel like you need to start the best you possibly can, right? This is not professional advice. This is just my advice. Have some compassion on yourself. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling. It's okay to have a lot of things not going well and feel angry about it. It's okay to feel that way. That's not an unnatural feeling, but you do deserve to let your feelings come out. And then also, you deserve to also take care of yourself and start to look for that joy and go through things. So I just really hope that you find that. We're here to support you. All of us, there's a bunch of people in the chat too. We're all here. We're all imperfect and we're all human beings and we're all going through stuff. So that's why we're here tonight. So I really hope you start to feel better and just know that I think the one thing you should do is try to just take some baby steps towards do something you like. Watch your favorite show, get your favorite thing to eat, do something for yourself. One little thing. And it means a lot. When you take care of yourself, one of the best things you could do, and I got great advice for this, is be your own best friend. You know, sometimes you need to be that for yourself and say, how would I treat my best friend if they were in my exact same position? And I know for me, I'd have my arm on my best friend. I'm telling him how much, value he has. I'm telling my best friend everything good about them and like reminding them of their value and picking them up. Sometimes you're just unfortunately in a place where you have to be that person for yourself if there's not someone else. And that's unfortunate, but it's also a good part of building that inner strength to be able to face what life throws at you. And life is not easy. It can be a tsunami. But I really do hope you feel better. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and start over again. My main theme in life. That means you're resilient and strong. That means you're strong. Listening to Colby, Kelsey, and chat, I finally faced my own anger after being betrayed 31 years of marriage and now being divorced. I have learned that I have inner strength and have to let go of the anger. Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, you know what? The one thing that I have a hard time with is like, I really do struggle when it comes to like accepting the fact that I'm angry because when I'm angry, I almost feel like it's wrong to be angry because I get really upset and then the anger festers and like I'm just like I'm very uncomfortable with being angry for some reason. I don't know why that emotion is just like overwhelming for me, but being angry is hard for me. And I realize like you just can't blame yourself for feeling the feelings that you're having. But one thing I've had to learn is also do not let your emotions run you. And I'm not saying that in a harsh way. What I mean by that is allow yourself to feel it, but then at some point we do have to push ourselves up and we have to make a decision. There's some times where it's so low and so bad that you literally have to decide right then and there, is this where I disintegrate and I'm done? Or am I going to get back up and keep living? It can get that bad. It can be that low. And that is exactly what this video is for, but it's also for the in between. So that's the thing. It's like, it is when life's hitting you hard, guys, this is what we have to decide is how are we going to deal with this? Right? Like that's where I was sitting there thinking to myself when everything was going horrible. And this is just even in the hard moments for me now. What am I going to do? I can't change my circumstances. My circumstances are what they are. I have zero control of the external circumstances. I have full control over one thing, and then I have to try my best to do what I can for everything else that is under my care. Okay. So it's kind of like I know I can control myself, but I have a garden. I need to take care of the garden. I got to go out there, water the plants, do my part. That's my job. But when it comes to controlling anything, I have control over myself. What happens when I'm out of control? What happens when I'm angry and I don't know how to stop being angry? How do I learn to forgive? And how do I learn to live my life when I'm going through hell and it's not ending? It's never ending. It just keeps going and going and going. What do I do? That's what this video is for. That's what we're here to talk about. Because I've been there back and forth. I've swear my life has looked like a roller coaster in that way. There's those highs and those lows. I'm sure every single one of you feels that way. The biggest deal and the biggest point is you have a daily life and then you have these big events and these things that can happen, whether you want to call it trauma, whether you're suffering, whether you're going through a lot. the biggest point is like you're not going through that number one alone. And even if it's a very unique circumstance, other people are going through things and you can rally together between that. But where we're trying to find and what we're trying to talk about is nitpick the fact that we also have every day, every moment, every minute. And I've had that time in my life where anxiety was running. Like I literally remember having a 30-second timer. Okay. I'm gonna be really vulnerable with you guys right now. Okay. Hold on. Before I say that, I just want to say hi to you guys. Lisa says, "Hi Colby, I want to say I really look forward to hearing from you. I really appreciate to share about discuss these things like this. This is the biggest reason why I enjoy your channel." Thank you, Lisa. It makes me feel really, really good. I'm really glad. That's what I care about the most. We can have fun together, we can do life together, but I love tackling these topics that really meant a lot to me. So I'm really glad that they're helpful. Honestly, I mean that comment means a lot to me. Um, here's the thing, guys. When you're going through absolute hell, you still have a life to live, right? If you're a parent, if you're married, if you're working, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what's going on. You're going to wake up and you're going to have another day. And the thing is, how are we supposed to keep going? Some events do change your life. Some events change you forever. But what do we do on the daily? What do we do in between it? And then on top of it, are we going to eventually deal with those things? And that's where I say my advice always to anybody is if you feel like you're ready to learn and grow and do the best that you can, you deserve to unload that. I do believe that therapy is a huge tool for that. And that's my own personal advice to you. Allie, we all have to remember that life is hard and we all have hard things on our plates, but we can get through it and we're all here for support. Exactly. Look at you guys. I freaking love you guys, honestly. You guys are awesome. You guys are this is so freaking nice. Let me say this. You guys know how the internet is, right? I've experienced the internet in certain ways. Probably not as bad as other people, but I've experienced the internet and people can be horrible. And this usually is a platform where people are behind their keyboard, so they don't feel like it's real life. So they just say whatever horrible things come to their mind or whatever the case is. Look at this. This is beautiful. I just want to take a second and applaud you all for the fact that you're here talking about mental health and we're here talking about this stuff. That's awesome. I just want to give you that moment. Okay. Love you guys. So not to just beat on compartmentalization, but this kind of goes back to the trauma thing we were talking about too. Let's just use this for example. I'll just use myself as the example. I have my entire life happening. While I'm doing that, I have parts of my life. So the compartmentalization is the parts of my life are here is my kids and being a father. Here is my job. And then now for this year coming up, here is the case that's about to happen all over again and that trauma that's going to come up. Here's what I need to do and what I feel called to do in my life. And it's all on my plate at one time. So the only way I can actually function with that is almost like if I even thought about it as let's just break it down in like a dinner way. You eat one thing at a time and finish it and do what you can. So if I gotta dip in over here, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna be a parent because I need to be a parent. Now I need to go to work and I needed to be a worker. Now I need to deal with what's happening over here. And it took me I'm still learning. I'm not trying to sit here and act like I'm talking down. I'm just telling you guys what I've learned. Like I'm still struggling in that way. I'm still having a hard time with that. I'm still learning how to compartmentalize because when something's so loud over here, like someone's beating on a drum, it starts to really affect you. So when you're like having a really hard time in one area, it can affect your entire life. It can affect everything you're doing. So now we zoom back out to one major thing, and that is okay. If I oh yeah, this was it. I was telling you guys about the 30-second timer. Gosh, I am ADHD, am I not? um, so 30-second timer. My 30-second timer is when my trauma was at its absolute peak. I literally had to say, I can make it for 30 seconds. I can make it for 30 more seconds. And I lived like that for a while. I had to literally give myself, I'm going to try to make it for 30 more seconds. And that's how dramatic it was for me personally. I personally felt that I just couldn't make it a full minute. I was at a point where I was like, it's too much. Like even thinking about making it through the day was too much. Thinking about doing a normal task felt like it was too overwhelming. That is where I was at. And that's what this video is for, is so you guys understand it's not easy. And it just feels like I need 30 seconds. I need to say, I'm going to make it for 30 seconds. Now, here's another thing. We talked about this before in other videos. This is another big one is anchors. You guys have to find your life anchors. What is the anchor to your ship? What is something in your life that actually keeps you grounded to the earth where you're not ready to take and make the ultimate decision in your life, which is taking your own life? How do I anchor myself? And that is another big part is you guys know what is my purpose? What am I doing here? Those are questions that you have to start to ask yourself, especially here's one thing I learned. When it actually hits the fan, when it actually hits the fan, everything peels back and you learn that you really learn a lot about yourself. You learn what you are made of and you learn what's really going on. And then you start to see how other people react to that. You start to see people's true colors and then you see your own. And then when you're tested like that, you are going to have to ask these questions and you're going to have to figure out what your anchors are. And this happens, I think, in everybody's life. There's going to be a low point in your life where you're confused and you're probably even mad. You're upset. You don't understand why you have to go through this. But what's going to keep you going? What's going to keep you going? And I'm just here to provoke that thought for you. Even if you're not in that bad place, which I pray that you're not. I hope you guys are doing great. I hope everything is going really great for you. But if you are in that place, it's still okay to be in that place. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel anxiety and worries and doubts. But also, again, casting your doubts and your worries onto Jesus is your best bet. But that's a personal thing that you have to be able to come to a place. Because I know for me, I almost hold on to my burdens because I'm like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to just like let it go. Sometimes it's like, I just don't know how to do any of this. And you're just really confused. And so I just want you to understand tonight is all about understanding that you should have grace on yourself. You should love yourself. It's so hard to love yourself. I don't know if people talk about this enough. It's so hard to love yourself because you have to understand all this other stuff could be stopping you from loving yourself, but you deserve to love yourself and you should. But this is a perfect right here, Lisa. It's okay to not be okay. Exactly. 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 Jen says, I've been tested. My anchor is living when they thought I couldn't. EMDR therapy has helped me and made the PTSD manageable. You don't have to let it go. And you do have to, and you know what? I did EMDR too. It was great for me. And the reality is, guys, is like it is hard. Okay? It's freaking hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat that for you. I'm not going to try to act like everything is perfect. It's not. But there still has to be a carved path forward. You still have to find your purpose. You still have to have something keeping you grounded enough when it's that bad. So that is the main thing, is like that's what we're here tonight to talk about, is this stuff can overwhelm you to such a point that you start to not being able to function on the daily. And when you're at that point where you can't function daily, it's only going to make your life worse. So you have to start having those baby steps. That's why I keep saying it. I saw a bunch of comments. What is EMDR? It is a form of basically trauma therapy. So like when I did it, you think of something, you think of an event, and basically you walk through that event and then you ground yourself. There's different, I did it with like these buttons and you press them. And basically what it does is it I hope I sound like an idiot probably. I probably don't. Maybe I shouldn't say it, but I'll tell you my experience with it. It's basically like grounding yourself in an event so you can actually work through it. Here, Michelle's probably saying it. Some people do it with tapping. You do it with sounds. There's different things, but it basically allows you to do that. It allows you to walk through the event, and over time that event is faceable. It's not the uh the trauma is not tsunamiing you to the point where you can't handle that event. So it's like sometimes you go back to one event and you specifically tackle that event because it's really traumatizing, and it helps you walk that out. And then sometimes even as you're doing it, as you're going through that, you're grounding yourself with either tapping, with noises, with lights, and you talk out. But it's that's basically what it is. So hopefully I didn't sound like an idiot, but I tried to explain the best that I possibly can. Pearl, you rise like the phoenix out of the ashes and find that you are never alone, and you take those baby steps to find your inner strength and keep going one day at a time. There it is, one day at a time. Guys, if you need to take 30 seconds and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to take 30, I'm going to make it for 30 seconds. That's it. That's all I'm going to promise myself right now. 30 seconds. You got to do it. Get yourself a nice diary and write everything you are feeling inside. That's a great advice. What about Bob is the best? I left all my pills because I want to deal with my life without all those psych pills that make you walk in the clouds. Exactly. So we could talk about that too. I think that's a big part of life is like coping. How do you cope? How do I deal with this? And there's a lot of coping things. I think the first thing we do as human beings is inadvertently run away from pain. So our first thought is, how do I get out of pain? How do I not have to deal with this? Do I watch a movie? Do I exercise? That's what I just saw pop up. Exercise. And there's healthy ways and then there's unhealthy ways, right? Um, there's disassociation for people. Like people do our brains are meant to protect us, and our bodies try to do the same thing. Our bodies try to protect us from the same thing. So like when our body's sick, it tries to fight off the sickness. Like our brains do the same thing. We try to protect ourselves from pain. So what's one of the first thing that happens is we start looking for an out. How do I get out of this pain? Like that's like the first thought is, how do I not have to deal with this? And honestly, that's how people pick up a lot of habits and a lot of things and addictions, because you're in pain and you're running and there's something that helps you not have to deal with that or not have to feel that pain, and you feel so overwhelmed by it that eventually it just becomes normal, and now that's your coping mechanism and that's how you deal with life. And then sometimes you get stuck, and so basically you deal with one thing by doing something either worse or whatever the case is. But here's another big thing, and I'm just going to say this straight up. Even if you're going through that, even if you're doing that right now, even if you're coping in the wrong ways, have some grace on yourself. You deserve some grace. It's okay to be obviously a reason that you're going through a hard time, and there's a reason why you might have turned to the wrong thing. But that's okay because you're a human being, you're not perfect, you're not meant to be perfect. But the truth is you deserve to be out of that pain, and that thing that you're running to is not going to ever sew that wound. It is just always going to band-aid. Like it's like putting a piece of tape over the Titanic crack. The water's coming in and you're just flex sealing it for half a second, and then it just busts up once that feeling is gone. And so I just want to tell you that the hard work does come when you are willing and ready to start talking about the hard stuff, when you're willing to sit in that place, whether it's with yourself, with a therapist, with a friend, with a spouse, whatever it is. And you're at that point where you're ready to really deal with the hard stuff. It is not freaking easy, bro. Like I'm not going to sit here and try to act like it's easy. And I'm not perfect at it, but I'm finally at a point where it's like I'm starting to unpack this stuff, and it is genuinely like helping me so much to let go of some stuff and start to understand things from a mental and psychological way. And I think that's why therapy is such a big deal. Reason, because I was so against therapy. Like I had the same exact thought. I had tried therapy when I was a kid. I never felt like it got anywhere, and it's because you get what you put in. You're not going to get anything if you already don't want to be there. And so now that I'm really wanting to see results in therapy, it's happening. And so I just suggest, if you're at that place, you deserve to unload all those things that are stopping you from progressing. But if you're in a hard time and a hard way right now, just know that it's okay to have the feelings you have. Just don't let that place be don't let a temporary place become your permanent residence. Don't let the bad place you're in dictate everything else. And that's the hardest part about our life today, is that is what's happening, and why I made my last video. And it's really hard facing the reality that those temporary moments, whether temporary is I guess almost a subjective word, that the fact that that temporary thing might feel like years, but it doesn't mean it's forever. It doesn't mean it's forever. If I don't feel well, I just put things aside until I can do it. It's kept me sane since I had my first back surgery. There you go. Yeah, and I feel you guys on anxiety. I feel you. I know exactly what that feels like. It's not a fun, it's a debilitating feeling. And I know we have a huge mental health crisis in our world in general. Life is hard. There's a lot of things going on. And I think we're less and less we're less and less equipped to deal with the mental load of our lives nowadays. I think life used to be a lot simpler. I don't know if this sounds weird, but like sometimes I just think, imagine your life being so much simpler, and now it's very complicated these days. And we get a lot of information, guys. We get a lot of information about a lot of different things. And it can be probably really overwhelming. Think about just like how much news, if you're consuming the news, it's a lot of information for your brain to process on top of your own day. And a lot of people, I think, get anxiety because we're getting so much stimulation in our brain that it's overwhelming to our mental health. That's just my own opinion. Oh, let me add this real quick, because I do feel like this is a big point. There is a huge problem with the part of the internet that encourages long suffering in the wrong way. So let me put it in the best context possible. Sulking. There is a part of the internet that really sulks, and it's so easy when you're in pain to go to that place and sulk in that, like YouTube videos, TikToks, all this kind of stuff where the content itself is about sulking. And not that that's wrong to feel your feelings. The problem is you can get stuck there. You can get stuck sulking forever. And that is the problem, is if you're feeding yourself that stuff on the internet and your algorithm is constantly telling you something, it will eventually get in your head deeper than you think. That sulking stuff, that pain, all that stuff, it really starts to seep in. So I want you guys to be really careful, really look at yourself, at what you're consuming and doing as far as media, what you're consuming and doing as far as the TV shows you're watching. That stuff will contribute to your mental health. It will. I promise you. It's whether it's TikTok, YouTube, movies. If you're watching dark shows, I'm telling you, it will seep into your brain. Whether you know it or not, it will seep into your brain. And it will start to, it's literally, you are what you eat. It's the same thing. When you're watching something, you're consuming that. And when you consume it, it becomes a part of your mental. So I just want you guys to be aware of that. It's something that I learned. Also, caffeine and other things that are causing that, there's actual physical reactions that can give you those panic attacks. So I know for me, I was drinking way too much caffeine, and it was giving me panic attacks, right? Like there's certain things that will attribute to something already fragile, whether you're already susceptible to that, something like that. It's it can contribute to that, right? So be nice to yourself. Start trying to love yourself. Drink some water. Okay? That's a good reminder for me. Drink my water. I don't drink a lot of water. I need to drink more water. If you can do any type of exercise, doesn't matter if you guys go outside, go for a walk, go outside when the sun is setting if you can. Just breathe. Breathe some fresh air and try to get some sleep. Sleep will contribute to mental health drastically. There's so many studies on sleep. You gotta sleep. You just can't. If you're having a hard time sleeping, that's the worst part about some anxieties is it will keep you awake. And so now you're just like everything's suffering. You stop eating. For me, I stopped eating, stopped sleeping well, start having bad dreams, all this stuff. It's just a big, huge downfall. So the biggest thing you have to do at that point is how far down am I going to go? Because I got to climb back up. So think about it as a mountain. If you start, look, Kelsey's over here. I love this gal. You got to realize you are multiple parts. Okay, your physical, your mental, and your spiritual. So you got all that going on. You have to realize each one of those parts of you. Okay, compartmentalization. Parts of you needs attention. What does your physical body need? What does your mental health need? And what does your spiritual health need? Where are you suffering? And if you're suffering on all three categories, your freaking red lights inside are blinking like, help me, save me, do something for me. And so that's what's going to be a slow process of what can I do for myself physically? What can I do for myself mentally? What can I do for myself spiritually? What is causing this? And then all these things start to open up in avenues. But guess what? You can't get there if it's always trying to run away and have the distraction. And you want to know me? Here's how I was. Okay? Here's how I was. I was playing my video games while listening and watching The Office while sometimes having a conversation, and my brain was on all three because I just was so overwhelmed. I was watching TV shows all the time. I couldn't have a TV off. I would have YouTube playing. Like, I'm not talking down. I'm talking from experience. I freaking know exactly what it's like to be in that place where you're trying to mentally check out. You're check the frick out. And if you feel like if you check in or you deal with the pain, you're going to be stuck. And I feel you. Like, my therapist said something so incredible. She talked about, and I said this in another live, but like it's like a damn wall. And if it's so bad, that wall only can take so much pressure. And so if you're adding that water, you're adding in all of that stuff, eventually the structural part of you is going to snap. There's only so much pressure that that wall can take from all the water that's in there. And eventually you're going to just have a breakdown. What's better to do now is if you are at a point where you can start to realize those things, the best thing you can start doing is letting some water out at little bits of a time. Just a little bit, baby step, just let out a little bit. Maybe just get a little cup out. And then, over time, you'll slowly let it go. You'll slowly get better. And I hate the cliches of when I was on social media and like looking at stuff like reels and all that stuff. A lot of times it's like there's always this like, what's the word? It's just like it's so cliche. It's like you're gonna get better. You're gonna do better. How? That was my question. Like freaking say something of value to me. If you're gonna say this on the reel, can you freaking tell me like a step? Can you give me something helpful? Can you tell me something you've learned? Can you do something for me? It's just like it's great to be encouraged. And I love encouraging people. Okay. I feel like it's probably one of the things that I was called to do in life is encourage people. But gosh dang, like don't just say all the time, everything's just going to be great. At some point, I just don't believe you. I don't know. Like, for me personally, I was like, look, I'm going through a lot and it's just getting worse and it's just getting worse and it's just getting worse. So why you keep telling me everything's going to end up great? Everything's going to be perfect. I'm going to walk off in the sunshine. I don't freaking know. I don't know why that's the case, but that's why I wanted to share practical things that I've learned. I don't know if it's going to help you. I pray on everything it does because I care about you guys. I don't want anybody on this planet suffering and feeling alone and feeling that absolute loneliness. It's horrible and you're not alone, right? And again, we all are going through stuff. We're all going through stuff currently and right now, but just know I'm here for you. Okay? I'm here. When I let it out finally, then I feel guilty for doing so. I never want to make someone feel bad, but can't and won't let them walk all over me. I feel you. It's really hard because Yeah, it's hard to not when you're feeling all that stuff, you it feels like you want to I feel guilty too. I feel guilty. It's like you just feel like you're not allowed to be angry or not allowed to have those feelings or like it's too much, but no, it needs to come out and it will in some way, somehow. So dailies, working out for me has been a lifesaver. I will never, I appreciate the gym as much as I appreciate therapy because that is the daily venting for me. I need to move my body and move my brain and just go. I have to get a workout. I don't get to do it every single day, obviously, but like, gosh, just a walk. Like I used to tell my personal training clients when I was a personal trainer, like just go out and just walk if you can. If you can't walk, swim. Just be outside, do something, and just move your body. It will help you so much. It will help you. Choices are important to each day. Exactly. And that's a good thing about kind of like snowballing in the wrong way. You can snowball in the right way. So you could start to do these good habits and next thing you know you're in a better place and you start gaining momentum. It goes both ways, so it's either worse or better. And oh, okay, I'm gonna leave that up there for you, girl. She just comes in here out of nowhere and says I like to move it. Sorry, that caught me off guard. I am saved, I am loved, I am not alone. Jen, that actually brings a really good point up too. Remember how I talked to you guys about it getting into your head? You need also positive, please somebody give me the word, affirmations. You need positive affirmations, especially when you're having a really hard time. You have to stop going at yourself so hard. You have to start being positive. Literally start telling yourself the positive things. Start loving yourself. It is so freaking hard, but you can because you are loved already and you need to learn to accept that love and then love yourself. So also when she said that, guys, JJ, we actually watched that with the girls earlier. In Madagascar, they do that song, I like to move it, move it. And for some reason, when Kelsey would sing, I like to move it, JJ would get so mad at her, and then I would do it right after, and he would just listen and bob his head while I just sang it. And then when Kelsey would even start singing it, he go, no, 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 no. He gets so mad. Oh, oh my goodness. But yeah, affirmations, guys. Just one more thing I wanted to also share. Because it's important to understand and teach yourself if you don't know how, which is me, is you have to teach yourself to love yourself if you don't. You have to teach yourself to love yourself if you haven't already. Yeah, she was not allowed to sing that song. I don't know why he got so mad at that. But yeah, man, like, I don't know, do something you like. Treat yourself. You know? Spend time with people you love. Encourage yourself. Just know you're not alone. Just know that you don't have to deal with all this stuff alone. And that's exactly what I wanted us to be able to do. And you guys are incredible. Seriously, you guys are incredible for being here. We're talking about hard subjects. We've been doing this. And I'm telling you, like, most people will not come to these streams because it's uncomfortable to talk about this stuff. And I get that. I was in that place. But once you realize how good it is for you to actually just kind of just let it out and go, you got to do it. You deserve to have a good life. And the way to do that, though, sometimes when it's really, really hard, is go back first, start to face that hard stuff, and then your life can start having forward momentum again. You gotta get rid of that weight. You gotta get rid of that weight. Oh man. You know I love you guys. I am so grateful for you. Always. That's from like literally the bottom of my heart. I am grateful for you guys. Thank you. The wave of pain, it will pass. Write it out. The pain is real. Expecting it to not be there. Yeah, well, that's the thing too. It's a wave. That's exactly right. It's a wave, and it's a season. And that's the best that's one of my favorite things that I ever read, and when I finally understood what that meant in the Bible, is that there's a season for everything. There's a season to cry, a season for joy, a season for laughing, a season for mourning. There's a season for everything. So it's just like it's the best way you can conceptualize that is there's a season like there is fall, which in Arizona we don't get any freaking seasons. It's just now it's getting cold. Okay, January 10th, freaking jerk. Um, it's now getting cold, but there's a season, right? So now it's winter for us, finally. But there's a season in your life for everything. So you have to realize sometimes you're not in the best place and you're not in the fun season. And that's kind of my problem with the media and the world sometimes is like it's almost like we look at people who are let's call celebrities or like we look at social media and you get this like highlight reel of people's lives. That's not real life. Like even if people have money and you think they're living it up and they're driving around in their little cars and they're just whipping like you people just have this idea that like oh my gosh like they have no problems, everything in their life is good. It's a false narrative. I don't care how much money you get, I don't care how it goes, you're going to go through stuff, you're going to go through loss, you're going to go through hurts and pains, and it doesn't matter what you have materialistically, it doesn't matter. What matters is that you realize who you are and you'll learn those things through that stuff. But sometimes you just need help along the way. So that's what I hope I can provide for you. I love you guys. I just watched your mom's first thing in front of the judge. How sad she's gone. Love to you and your beautiful wife. God will give you vengeance. Love from Wisconsin. Guys, I saw you guys say that. Thank you, by the way, Amelia. I don't know. I didn't watch that. I didn't even know she had something today. So there's a good, perfect point right there. Perfect point. I haven't even seen it. So that's a compartmentalization thing for me, right? I didn't used to be able to do that. Like if my mom and this stuff was like in the media stuff, it just swept me off. I couldn't think about anything else. I couldn't function if there was something going on with this because all I could do is go back to that same place. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is too much. And now, all this stuff. And it's like, no, like that's happening currently. She doesn't get to just blow everything out of the water and take over my life anymore. She's not going to do it. So that's the power of giving and taking, kind of like the same thing we talked about with forgiveness. It's a choice for you. It's not about them always. It's about you. You get to choose if you want to forgive. You get to choose at some point when you're finally more healed and dealing with that stuff. You get to choose that. But I had no idea my mom did that. And guess what? Even if I would have read that before and you said that, it would have just whisked me away, But I'm at a point where, okay, she doesn't get to dictate my happiness anymore, But she did, and I allowed her to have that. I allowed her to dictate my feelings. I allowed her to let my stomach just drop. Thank you. The LA fires are showing it doesn't matter your money or status. Nobody is promised no problems. Exactly, guys. And honestly, I really feel for everybody who's going through that. That is horrible. And that is an absolute travesty. But that's the other thing too, is like, it's really hard to go through things in your life. But at the same time, what are you going to do when it does hit the fan? And that's what we wanted. I wanted to make this video for that exact reason because it was on my mind. It's been on my mind so much. It was the personal feelings and the experiences that I've had. It's like, what do we do when we hit rock bottom? What's the answer? It got as bad as, for me, it got as worse than my nightmares for me. In a lot of different parts of my life, things were worse than the nightmares that I had. But specifically, obviously, what happened to my family was worse than what I was even imagining happened ever or could have ever imagined. Okay. That's where I was at. So it got worse than what I imagined, which is changes you forever. It just feels like, man, I'll never not think worst case scenario because I never want to be caught off guard like that. Like that's another part of you trying to protect yourself. You're trying to save yourself from pain. So when it got worse than what I imagined, I hit a rock bottom worse than I could have ever imagined as well. And then it's a climb out of there, and to climb out. And look, it's going to be 6 years this year. That's a long time. And here we are talking about this. And it took me five something years for me to sit here and talk about it. So there you go. There you go. This is me showing you right here and now that it is not easy and it can take you a long time. I'm not trying to sit here and act like if you're going through something, I'm not sitting here telling you get up and be better. I'm saying what can you do today? The smallest baby step possible. Smallest thing you can possibly do. Why don't you drink some water? Start there. Why don't you eat something if you haven't? Why don't you try to get some good sleep tonight? Just those little things will add up over time. I promise. And I love you guys, and I want you to have anything practical that I can give you. I want to be able to share that. We cannot fix our parents or their mistakes, but we can prevent us from repeating them with our families. Exactly. We do get to choose how we dictate our lives afterwards, no matter what. I love this right here. If there's one thing I've learned from Minecraft, if you hit rock bottom, you just got to dig out one block at a time. Exactly. I love that. That's hilarious. And that's actually exactly right. It's exactly right. Linda, hey, Colby, just had my appendix removed back home. Catching you live. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. And I hope you have a great recovery. When I had my appendix, that was horrible. So I really feel for you. Just take your time recovering. One day at a time, one moment at a time, small continuous improvements. I love it. There's actually a movie that right as you said that, I think it was Creed. You guys know I freaking love Creed. One round at a time, something like that. But he's getting Donnie going, man. Rocky's getting Sylvester. Say his name. Hold on. I struggle with the S's here. Sylvester. You know I'm talking about Rocky. Okay, he's a great actor. He motivates. He's just made to motivate, right? Rocky's just like that's Rocky. Just motivation. Just get you like just pull out the lion Ryan just roaring on him, man. I'm gonna get going right now. I'm gonna freaking get going because I'm talking about Rocky. The freaking lion Ryan coming out. All right. But he's telling Donnie while he's training him to box, one punch at a time, one round at a time, one something at a time. But it's really what it is. Sylvester Stallone. There you go. I don't know why I struggle so hard. Thank you, Denise. You saved us over here. But I'm telling you, it is literally just one thing at a time. You cannot handle it all. Nobody was meant to deal with everything at once. And it's not how we're built as human beings. Yeah, kill, but the wolf kind of mean. You guys probably don't know what I'm talking about. If you've ever seen Trolls something, I don't know. We're so deep into kids' movies at this point. But in Trolls, there's actually one song. They redo Atomic Dog. And Kelsey showed me the song. She's like, I've been listening to this song. And she plays in the car, and it went hard. I'm just gonna say. But that's the point, is I just dabbed myself up. Do you see that? I literally dabbed myself up. Let me get back to the point here. I'm getting excited. My brain's all popping off all over the place. Slow it down. Take a breath. Here's my main point to you. You are worth love. You are worthy of love. And whether you've had a hard life, easy life, if you're facing hardship right now, or you will face it in the future, you have to be grounded in that love, and you have to realize that it's going to take you some time to work through everything, but you are not supposed to be perfect. You do not have to be perfect. You do not have to perform. And your authentic self is right on the other side of all of this. Your authentic self is the version of you that's completely unmasked. You don't have to be strong when you're not feeling strong. You don't have to be something you're not. You can just be yourself. And to get to that point, you might have to deal with the baggage just behind you. But just know, whether you're in the hardest part of your life today, do one good thing for you. Take care of yourself. Drink some water. Get some sleep. Take your vitamins. and watch a good movie. Do something for yourself. You deserve it. You freaking deserve it. If you went to work, you just take, just get you a treat. Get you a treat. Okay? You deserve it. But I love you guys so much. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being here. I hope you guys have a great night. Go get some good sleep. I don't know what time it is for you, but when it is, you know what? Thank you, Tracy. I'm gonna hold on. Exactly. Thank you. God does not make junk. So you're not junk. You are worthy of love. 1000%. 1000%. But I love you guys. As always, I will keep you up to date on the community tab. I did mention to our members today, but I will tell you guys all now. Two updates real quick. One, I think we're going to be live every single Friday, at least going forward. So I'll post that in the community tab just so you guys know that. But I think we're going to keep our Friday night lives on a consistent basis. We got a lot of fun things coming up too. Kelsey's birthday, Kelsey's B-Day is in a couple of days, in 4 days. Kelsey is having her B-Day. So she is going to have some fun. So we're going to have fun for that. So if I don't see you before that, I'll tell you how much fun we have. We're going to go do something fun. But, and lastly, we are going to, I forgot. I'm not gonna lie, I forgot. I got so caught up in what I was saying, I forgot what I was gonna tell you. I'll post on the community tab. It is what it is. I love you guys. I hope you have a great night, and I will see you guys very soon. Love you.